Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest episode of Talking Baldocks. We appear to have Matt coming from the other side of the world today.
I'm Matt Baldock.
Well, I'm Neil Baldock, but
That's
I'm
got
just
to be the
interested
introductions.
in the beach you
Well,
appear to be sitting on.
what is the pain point of estate agents that we're talking about today?
Okay, you want me to open up the episode properly? So, the pain point we're talking about today is people kind of feeling burnt out, having a lack of time personally. They're working late nights. And yeah, just
They're
just
not sit. They're not sitting on beaches.
they're not sitting on beaches.
There
Okay.
you see.
Oh God, see what
It's
you've
taking
done
you.
there.
I mean, in reality, I was just dicking around with the virtual filters before you got to me, but I've managed to tie it in quite nicely, and thanks for catching up.
Very good, very good. So yeah, so we're talking about people working all the hours God sends them, feeling burnt out, and what they can do about that, which for us comes down to recruiting an effective team and then managing that team, and what does the makeup of that team look like? And for sort of people who are thinking, well, it's only me at the minute and I can't afford staff, then we're going to cover that as well. But yeah, do you want to kick us off?
Well, yeah. So I think it's very easy, to wear like hard work as almost a badge of honor. And I've certainly done it in the past, and to a certain extent, probably still do. And we do seem to have this thing in this country where we wear, oh, I'm working 24 hours a day. The amount of self-employed consultants in inverted brackets I see that kind of advertise, I'm available for my clients 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. It's not a USP, and it's quite frankly not healthy. I mean, I remember the very start of my journey with Charles David Casson, I was running an office by myself and I would work 13 days straight. So I'd only have every other Sunday off. And I was sitting in an office, usually by myself. I had a young family, but I'm doing the grant. And don't get me wrong, you have to work hard. And at the start of a business, we've said this before, there's no silver bullet. Yes, you have to put in the hours. But as you get going, I think at some point you have to realize, what are you building a business for if you've got no time to enjoy it? And actually, being busy and being productive are two very different things. I actually did a LinkedIn post yesterday where slow down to speed up, which is something I took from Sam Hunter. So I decided to take a train, which was a slower journey than if I drove, but I got to be more productive and doing it. And what I tend to find is you get on this kind of wheel, and you're going around, and what you find when you've got burnout is you're going through the motions, but you're not actually being productive. So you're not actually doing any good. You'd be better to have a day off, yeah, and then kind of be refreshed and get back to it. So that's the case. Don't be a hero, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the other point on that is that when you're quite right, people sort of fall on their sword and say, "Oh, I'm working all these hours," and make those promises to clients. You're actually setting yourself up for failure further down the road when your business becomes busier because you then can't deliver on the promises you've made clients initially. So, if you're promising clients that you're going to be coming back to them 24/7, as I do see people say, I'm available 24/7. Well, if you're available to your clients 24/7, where's the time for your family, your children, your wife, your girlfriend, etc.?
And
Where,
you,
and you for some rest and recuperation, for some time to invest in your own health, etc. So, yeah, you kind of it's all well and good promising that at the early stages, but actually you end up promising things that you can't deliver. So the word is sustainable. You're making a business that's not sustainable, and obviously that's not a good kind of place to start out from because those clients will be like, well, you used to do this. Now your service level's dropped. Well, it's not my service level dropped. It's just I'm asking for a bit of sort of protected time in the evening when I want to see my family, etc. So I think one of the things we should cover probably fairly early on in this conversation is, we'll talk about how people recruit, how people can be recruited and how we've done that and how we've improved that process over the years. But just first of all, let's talk, because there will be people listening to this probably thinking, well, I'm a one man or woman band and I don't have enough money to have a team. I don't have enough money to get myself a member of staff. So I just want to sort of mention there's many, many different ways to to have a team. Obviously we've got full-time employed members, part-time employed members. We've got outsourced service suppliers, but they become part of your team, and you should view it that way. There's virtual assistants out there. So I think when we talk about building a team, you can kind of, you don't need to worry about, oh my God, how much is that going to cost me? And then also you look at, well, by investing in those people, what's that going to return me in the time I get back to do other things?
Yeah, 100%. So I think you've got to have, it's that cost versus investment piece, isn't it? So I mean, if you start at the very beginning, sorry, you could do it without hiring anybody. So as long as you've got the right tech in place. So we are very lucky that we live in a world now with kind of prop tech all around us. I mean, so again, go back to yesterday, I was on a train and I think I sent 50 tout letters out in about 2 minutes. We expect us. I remember years ago trawling through Rightmove, going out, finding the door number, etc., etc. So with all the tech that we've got in place for prospecting, for instant, for marketing in terms of our Facebook and social media, and Instagram adverts, in terms of our referencing, in terms of our rent collection, so there's loads of options for you there. And then you've obviously got the people factor. And as you say, do you employ a full-time person or do you use a virtual assistant? So we've had virtual assistants in the past, and they can be a really good cost-effective way. I mean, we were with a lady today, another agent, and she has a virtual assistant for 10 hours a month, doesn't she? And she says that's the world of use to her.
Absolutely, yeah. And I mean, I know, when we've made acquisitions in the past, and they come across and sort of really proud that they're doing their own inventories. And I think to myself, why on earth are you doing an inventory? That's hours of time for very little return. We talk about £10 an hour tasks and £25 an hour tasks and stuff like that. It's like, why would a business owner be doing an inventory, which takes some time to go and do, time to then write up, etc.? That for me is just like, outsource that immediately, get my time back to go and, number one, it gets done better because it's done by a specialist, and number two, I've got more time to go and generate myself some more leads in my next client.
Exactly. And actually, if we probably something we should have mentioned at the very start is your systems and processes, which is something we spoke about in other episodes. Because if you don't want to spend any money at all, make sure your diary is ran really tightly. So if you don't, you're boxing clever with your time. Ultimately, you're not doing a viewing on the same house at 10 in the morning and 3 in the afternoon, for argument's sake. And something like that. So make sure you've got your systems and processes down. That's the first step. Then I would say look at what tech can enhance those systems for you, and make things easier. And then when it comes on to actually, a human being helping you, you've got options. Obviously, you've got the virtual assistant route, you've got part-time, full-time. And I think in terms of the investment piece, something that we got told, which always resonated with me, is so a lot of time, let's say, I need to take somebody on, they're going to cost me, I don't know, £30,000 a year, right? So people hear the number 30,000, they go, shit, I haven't got 30,000.
Yeah.
But it's not 30,000. This sounds a bit mercenary, but ultimately, if you bring somebody on, it is for them not to cost you money, it's for them to make you money, right? So especially with a salesperson or a lettings consultant, someone that's an actual business generator, you're going to know if they're going to do that in 3 months or not. I mean, realistically, you're going to know after month one, but you're going to know within 3 months. So, kind of breaks. So rather than being £30,000 a year, it's actually to like £7,500 for argument's sake, £8,000, with your taxes, and then it becomes a bit more palatable, doesn't it? So if you think, right, don't get me wrong, money's money, it's the risk, but if you're interviewing, you think this is the right person, are they worth me risking £8,000 on? That's a lot different than risking £30,000.
Yeah, that's right, and that's the view you've got to take. Is what is sort of a fair time to give somebody to get into the role and deliver some results, or at least show that they're, if it's a sales consultant, for instance, you can see that by have they built the pipeline. Are we doing more businesses? Even if you haven't cashed the money in 3 months, you can see, has our pipeline grown? But if you look at it in those smaller chunks, it's a lot easier to make the decision. And the other thing that we sort of been told before, and I'm a big believer in, is quite a lot of the time we say, oh, but I can't afford that person. Well, can you flip it on its head? Can you not afford that person? Because what's the alternative? you either stay where you are feeling burnt out, you're not being able to generate enough business, or whatever the case is, or you've got so much admin piling up behind you and it's causing you stress in the mind because you know it's there, but you've got no time to deal with it. So actually, can you afford not to take that person on to solve the problem that you need solving?
Yeah, exactly. And it is that. I mean, if you're around a client's house, and I always say you shouldn't be quoting fees, you should be quoting investment. And you're saying to the client, you're going to invest a bigger fee in me. I know the other agents are quoting cheaper fees, but the reason I'm more is because I'm going to get you more, do a better job. But then you're not willing to invest in yourself. It just makes no sense whatsoever. So, you can't expect people to invest in you if you're not willing to invest in yourself. And I think that's where that's what it comes from. You have to realize, and again, it goes back to don't be too much of a hero. Um, and also you learn more. You bring people on, and you might get an apprentice, but then everyone's got a little different skill set, and everybody knows something that you don't know, and so you'll gradually grow, and you'll work it out together. But yeah, I think the real piece is don't look at the annual salary, look at over a few months. You're right. If it's sales, it's going to be more than a 3-month investment. You might be probably going to do like a 6-month investment, but you can swallow it, right? Because if after 2 or 3 months the pipeline is growing rapidly, you're happier to take a bank loan if you need, or you're happier to kind of swallow it a bit because you know that money's coming. Lettings, it obviously cash flows a little bit quicker. But the flip side is you have to be willing. If you've got it wrong, and listen, we all get it wrong. Everybody has hired somebody and it hasn't worked out, and it doesn't have to be your fault or their fault. You just weren't the right match. Because in an interview, they're obviously going to be their very best. You're going to be your very best. You just have to be willing to quite quickly recognize when it's not going right and cut it before it does become a cost, not an investment.
Definitely. And I think the other thing, just to mention on this point, is that putting a team into your business is a little bit like putting rocket fuel into your business, because you can only do so much as one person, and obviously there's two of us, and even we get asked, "Oh, you guys do a lot. How do you get it done?" Well, the reality is we're leading it and we're coming up with the ideas and we're putting the strategy in place, but actually the work as such is being done by a fantastic team who we've taken years to recruit, and we'll come on to sort of how you can build that team. But I think that's the way people have got to view it, is that if you want to get stuff done and progress quicker, then having a team is what will help you achieve that.
Yeah, and it happens in all walks of life. You can use all the cliches, So, what's a single person sport? Tennis, for instance. So, Djokovic, Nadal, they don't just wake up in the morning and just go and play tennis by themselves. They have a team. They have nutritionists. They have coaches. All sorts. Any famous actors, singers will have makeup artists, script writers, songwriters. So there's anybody who perceived to be successful in a solo way has a team around. We believe you should really bring your team to the forefront, and that's a different type of business. But no one gets anywhere alone. I think it's the old saying: if you want to go fast, go by yourself, and if you want to go far, travel together. I can throw all the analogies at you. But you can't drive a car forever. You've got to stop and put petrol in it every now and again, and the petrol is your rest and relaxation. So nothing moves without help from something else.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we can obviously we could talk about then, once you've got that team, how do you manage them? But that's probably perhaps a conversation for another episode. But I think what is important to discuss is, how do you get that team in terms of recruitment? We've made the mistake a few times in the past, actually, where we've just recruited people because we liked them, and they were sort of another one of us, and we had a good laugh, and we would have enjoyed going out for a beer with them. And then you sort of find, well, you're not filling the skills gap, you're just getting more of yourself, and actually that's not helping you with the problem that you needed to fill. So now we do a big piece on recruiting on values, don't we, and recruiting on actual skill sets for the job role that we're recruiting on.
Yeah, I think although it's you have to point out you can train certain skills, but you can't train culture and personality. So that for me is the main thing. You want to make sure that person fits your culture, but you're very right. You want to make sure they come with a skill set you actually need. So again, in our own business, we have a fairly sizable lettings book, I would be an appalling property manager. So some of our best paid team members are our property managers
You really
because,
would be a terrible proxy.
yeah, that's fine. I'll take that on the chin. So, you have to look at, and you have to be really honest with yourself as well. And what are you actually good at? I mean, it's what you like doing. If you can find something you like doing and you're good at it, perfect.
Yes.
But you have to work out what you're good at doing. And even if you like doing something but you're no good at it, bring that person. So you might be the business owner of this estate agent, but you might not be a very good valuer. That's okay. Get a valuer. I'm not massively good, as I say, the admin side of things. So we obviously have the property managers to handle that, and we have a PA that helps us out with that kind of stuff. And some people, and we're at a slightly different level to some people. Some people say, well, people did say to us, who do you think you are? A PA is a bit of a luxury, and yeah, it is. But also, what that does is that means I can go out and you can go out and we can do the things we're really good at to bring business in. And Beth, she doesn't want to go and do the things we do, but she can do what she's really good at, and that's how it works. So, yes, identify your weakness and find some of that strength. But do have in the back of your mind, you can train skills up, you can upskill a lot of people, but you can't train culture, because what you don't want is somebody. You don't want to bring a bad apple into a team, because one person can ruin it for everybody, and you've got to be careful of that.
Yeah, definitely. And on that point, I think it's important to, it is the sort of cliched saying, but you hire slow and you fire fast. And what we mean
Yeah,
by that is, we give everybody a fair chance, but we take our time to recruit people. We make sure as much as possible we've gone through a good interview process. We've recruited on attitude and values, and we're getting the right person who's going to fit in with our culture, as you say. And then if they don't, if a different, which has happened and does happen sometimes, a different person turns up on day one of the job, and you think, hold on a minute, you're not the person I interviewed. And if that continues, then you have to take some action quickly because, as you say, if you've got a good performing team, one person can kind of upset the whole apple cart.
yeah, and again, I think sometimes that the ego in us gets, because we don't want to admit we got it wrong on an interview. And listen, we've had it. I've interviewed people. I think, God, you're a superstar, and then it's like his arsehole twin brother turns up, and they kind of look the same, but they talk completely different. And part of you wants to go, well, that's okay, because I'm a great leader, so I can fix this, or I can make it work. And sometimes you just got to admit you've got it wrong. And I don't know anybody that hasn't made a bad hire. And again, it's not always that the person you've hired's fault. They might have thought they wanted something with your company, and when they get there, they didn't. So that is another point, is when you're interviewing, don't try and be too much of a salesman yourself. And I know it's hard to get team members in, but be honest about your company, be honest about where
Yeah.
you are, what the chance of progression are, what your downfalls are. Be real honest, because what you don't want to do is promise the world this person turns up and goes, well, this is, for instance, if you're telling them, oh, come on, you'll earn loads of money because you're going to sell 20 houses a month, but you've only been selling 5 houses a month, for the last year. Yes, they're going to put an improvement on, but they're going to put 15 extra on, maybe not. So just be honest with people. But if it doesn't work out, don't think, oh God, I'm a failure as a leader because I haven't hired the right person. Just realize it doesn't work out. And again, most of the time, honest chats with people, say, look, this doesn't seem to be working for me. How are you feeling? And they'll probably say, no, it's not working for me either. And 9 out of 10 times you'll shake hands and part ways amicably.
Yeah, no, definitely. But I do think when you make those bad hires, and what you've got to do is basically be honest with yourself and look back at the process that you took to hire that person.
Yeah.
When you do that, and you're constantly refining that process. You're always looking to make improvements in all areas of the business, and recruitment will always be one of those. But we've certainly seen a marked improvement when a lot of our questioning in an interview isn't always around how good are you at the particular job we're interviewing for. We ask a lot of questions to get people to demonstrate their values, because if, for instance, one of our values at Charles David Casson is we learn. If somebody comes into our business and has no interest in learning, another one is that we grow. So we're always looking at personal development, etc. If someone's got no interest in that, it doesn't really matter how good they are at the job. if they just inherently don't fit our culture and they don't want to learn anything and they don't want to grow. Our business is always looking to make acquisitions. We're always looking to do more. We're always looking to progress. If you've recruited a person that doesn't fit that culture, then even if they're really good at the job you've employed them for, that is going to upset the culture in the business, and they're not going to be the right person. So I think, yeah, it's just refining. Make sure you refine your interview process and your recruitment process to recruit people that really, at their core values, match yours and your company's.
Yep, no, I completely agree.
Um, and then, of course, I mean, retention of the team is the next thing. Once you've got them, you don't want to be constantly recruiting. So getting the recruitment piece right is one, but then doing things to retain that team is another. And then obviously, I mean, I don't know how far you want to go with it. There's the management of the team and one-to-ones and everything to talk about after that.
Yeah, I mean, I think just to, a slight tweak of the language, you don't want to be constantly hiring, but you should be constantly recruiting. So I don't think you should ever stop meeting good people,
I
because
agree, yeah.
if you find somebody that's going to be brilliant, you probably make a space for them. But yeah, and this is, again, we say, like, hire slow and fire fast. You've got to work with people, because it costs a fortune to replace people, and that's something to remember. If someone isn't working and it's something you can fix, well, it's cheaper, if you want to be really mercenary about it, to fix somebody than it is to replace them, because you're going to have to pay recruitment fees and have the kind of lovely business then retrain somebody new to come in. But again, I think it goes back to, and culture is a bit of a buzzword that's banded around a lot. I mean, we've worked really hard on ours. We set our vision statement, we set our mission statement, we set our 6 core values. Our team have to demonstrate every week at the end of the week that they've lived to them. And so that kind of is a little bit easier. I think if you're interviewing and you tell somebody, oh, we've got a culture, and then when they turn up, you haven't got the culture, that's when people get disjointed. So again, it's about being honest. Culture isn't free beers on a Friday and a pool table in the foyer. Culture is actually, head of staff of the street group. I'm a big fan of hers. I was watching one of her. I've watched her talk twice now on this, and she put up a slide. I don't know if it's hers or not, but culture is how people act when the boss isn't in the room, kind of to that extent, really. So, you've got there, but yeah, retention should be relatively easy if you do the things you've told them you're going to do at the interview, if that makes sense. I mean, I have a policy with all of our team, and I go into every relationship, say, I intend for us to work together for the rest of our careers now, because we'll progress you as far as you want to go. And if you want to start your own business, you could do that with us. It's not, I know that won't always happen, but there's no point thinking I'm only going to work with you for a couple of years. And then, so you go into it that way. So what I say to them is, if you're unhappy about anything, come to me and let me try and fix it. And if I can fix it, great. And if we can't fix it, then I'll give you the time off to go and interview somewhere. I'm not interested in people being unhappy working at Charles David Casson, because unhappy people don't work hard enough, and who wants to know you're making someone unhappy? So that's the way we try and set it. Is, we're going to do everything we've told you we will do. If you don't think we're upholding our end of the bargain, come and see me. If it's something that we can agree on and fix, great. If we can't, listen, what can we do to help you go somewhere where you're going to be happy?
Yeah, definitely. So I think, I mean, just quickly, how, if people are sitting there thinking, oh, this resonates with me, I'm working till 10, 12 o'clock every night, and I'm like, I just feel burnt out. I mean, how can people identify what they need help with? For me, it's just like whatever you're not enjoying, or what's repeatedly you're spending time at 10 o'clock at night doing. If every evening you're at home doing the same things, like typing up your details or whatever the case may be, that's an easy way to identify, right, I need some help with that, or I need some help with something else that can free me up to do that. What do you think?
I agree. I think actually, a lot of the time it's people actually even identifying they've got burnout, because I think you have burnout without realizing. A lot of the time. So I think some like, are you constantly tired? In the morning you don't want to get out of bed. But another real key one for burnout is you withdraw from other people. So actually have a look at your calendar or at your phone and think, when was the last time I messaged, or if mates are messaging you, are you taking a week to respond to them?
Mm.
When was the last time you actually got together with your friends? Because that's also a sign of burnout. So number one, it's actually identifying you've got it. Number two is don't be ashamed of that because we've all had it. We all have really low patches. We all have really low patches. If any, if anybody ever treats you with anything other than empathy when you say you're struggling, then you don't want them in your life anyway. And then I think really it's you. It's write down honestly, what am I really good at? What do I really like? Find the ones that marry up, and then work out of the rest of them what are the most important jobs to drive your business forward.
Yeah.
Because there'll be some jobs that, there'll be some things where I don't like typing details and I'm not really, but is getting someone to type your details going to drive your business forward? Probably not, but someone on the marketing side or a negotiator helping out with the viewings, be it is a business generator you need out there knocking on doors, getting listings, that kind of thing. They're the things that you need to look at.
Yeah. So so there's plenty of stuff for people to sort of mull over there, I think, and hopefully that's resonated with people. And then we'll do another episode on maybe a bit more going fully into team management and that kind of thing as well.
Perfect, good stuff. I'm off for a pina colada.
Yeah, enjoy the beach, and we'll see you all next time.
See you later.